Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button for future videos. And the topic of this video is what are my thoughts about Sony and Disney not working together, and the Spider-Man shared partnership is done. That's right, going forward, Spider-Man will not be part of the MCU, and Sony, Spider-Man, they'll have him all to themselves for future movies. And the deal is over. And they couldn't work out the negotiation, and so this is the state we're left in now. And what's my thoughts on it? Well, first of all, I saw this happening because Spider-Man was basically on loan to the MCU and Disney from Sony, who owned the rights to the movies. So it was basically sort of just an agreement and a loan, with Sony being the principal owner of these movie rights. And so they worked out the deal, and now when I saw that Sony, with the PS4 video game success last year, plus you add Venom, made over $800 million and higher than expectations, and the Spider-Verse animated movie did really good and had a lot of good reviews as well. And then I saw a headline just a couple of days ago that the last Spider-Man movie, making over $1 billion, is Sony's most successful movie that they've had. So, if the Spider-Man franchise is their most successful movie property, why would they decide to share it anymore? And why would they want to work with anyone else? And you see, both sides tried to make an agreement from what I'm reading, but to me it seems Disney got too greedy. Sony wanted the existing deal financially to basically be the same moving forward, but Disney wanted a 50% stake in terms of co-producing these things and getting 50% of the movie box office, I suppose. And it was just too unreasonable an agreement. In other words, I think Disney overstepped their boundaries in the negotiating process. And that's what happened. They couldn't reach an agreement, and so Spidey is out of the MCU. Now, you know, favorite superhero, right? What do I think about this? Is surprisingly, I'm actually okay with it for a couple of reasons. Number one, Spider-Man should never have been in the MCU to begin with. It was sort of like a dream project that it actually did happen, when companies rarely work together, and the fact that it did happen is an utter surprise, and it's just like a treat, like a big bonus. And with Spider-Man, the one thing I wanted, and maybe many fans as well, was that I wanted to see him interact with MCU heroes like Captain America, Iron Man, all of these characters, and we got to see it. We got to see Spider-Man team up and meet all these other characters, all these other Marvel heroes in the MCU. And that's what we wanted, And he met Doctor Strange, of all characters, created by the same team, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange met on screen, which is like totally a surprise, right? Never thought that would happen, and it did. He met all the heroes, and even in the solo movies, he's had Nick Fury, he's had Iron Man. It was part of the Marvel world, movie world, and it was just like something that even before Civil War, you never thought it would happen. That would Spider-Man ever be in the MCU? Because you see, Sony owns the rights pretty much forever. That's how the deal was, right? And so you never thought they would give it up or even work together or anything. So the fact that Spider-Man appeared in it for quite a few films and met all these heroes, that is the special thing and a special takeaway, and I liked it all. It was well done. But eventually it would end, and so we had that high point. We had that meeting all the other characters in a connected world, and it was fun. So It was kind of like an add-on, like a bonus, just to get that. And so that's the deal. Not working together, moving forward. And so it leads a couple of questions, you know. But before I get to that, I just want to say something. You know, in Spider-Man Homecoming, when you saw that high school in the background, right? And there was like a fence there and a field. That's real. That was the high school I went to. That's Franklin K. Lane. And that's a real high school. The outside of the building, the gate, all of that. That was my high school. And that train in the front, that was the train. That's a real train, you know, that I used when I lived around there. I think I was the J train back when I was there. And so the outside scenes were real. Were some of the inside scenes real? I'm not exactly sure. 50-50. Some of it could have been staged. Some of it could be real. It's been so long since I was there, I don't remember the details of the inside. But I think, plus I think they made it more modern. I remember I read a couple of years ago that the school had closed because of not meeting the certain education standards or like performance standards. But maybe they reopened it in recent years, I really don't know. But it was a real high school, and that train area, it was real. So you saw that in Spider-Man Homecoming, for example. And remember when the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, when Mary Jane mentions on the bus, like, oh, he's been following us since Woodhaven Boulevard, or something like that. That's a real area. That's like, that's my area also growing up, Woodhaven. So, again, that's a real reference in these movies. So that's a special treat. But, you know, with the Spider-Man franchise, looking back, for example, the MCU version had a couple of major obstacles, and that was, you already had the whole MJ romance in the original Sam Raimi trilogy, plus then you had the Gwen Stacy romance in that reboot, The Amazing Spider-Man. And so the two women in his life and those storylines, they were pretty much told, and to rehash it again for this new version, it would have been like too much and too soon. Plus, one reason they cast a teenager or someone so young was the other Spider-Men were more like men of age already. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe already has all these other men, right, mature. So to be different, they had to make it different. And they did the best they could, and that's why they went with the teenage version. Because, you know, they had to go another way. You didn't want to copy all the recent Spider-Man and what happened. So, they were pretty much, I would say, boxed in terms of where they could go with the character, this new version, right? And so I think they did a good job overall. But a couple of questions moving forward I have is, you know, Sony going solo, do they use the same tone? You know, that up tone that, if you notice Venom, the tone was sort of like the Fox movies, the X-Men movies. And the MCU has their own type of tone in their movies. Like lighthearted, it's very colorful. Is that going to be how they go moving forward? And it's been a successful tone used in Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or will they change the style, the feel of future movies completely? Which could happen. So that's a big one. And another big issue is, you know, how are they gonna, is it gonna feel the same that you went from all these like MCU references and things to just not acknowledging it anymore and feeling just like a standalone solo movie again, or universe? And most likely, you know, now they could include Venom. So for fans, you know, maybe you actually do get a Spider-Man Venom team-up movie, which would be also nice and exciting. And that's a possibility. Or Carnage in there as a villain. Maybe Venom's costume changes and he gets the chest symbol because he's inspired by Spider-Man. We'll see what happens. They said there's like, I think 2 more deals, 2 more movies with Tom Holland in the contract, supposedly, with Sony. And so, you know, Sony's going to move forward. And the thing is, are they going to go with a, I don't think they're going to reboot it. Not now. It's too soon. but they're going to probably run with it, but just treat it like, just don't acknowledge the past events and move forward. You know, it's kind of funny, but it has made a lot of internet news. Overall, I would like them to work something out to continue the agreement, and it could still happen, as mentioned, but it doesn't seem likely at this point. And either way, you know, I actually think without the MCU influence, you know, and Kevin Feige and all of the writers and how they make movies that are crowd-pleasing, I think Sony, left to their own devices, will probably screw it up like they did with The Amazing Spider-Man. They're more likely to piss off the fans, and I think it's both sides at fault not working together personally, but, you know, I think Sony will screw it up overall. You know, it's funny, before the deal was reached, everyone hated what Sony was doing with the Spider-Man character, and in recent years, everyone has liked what Sony has been doing with the Spider-Man character, right? But is that goodwill going to extend going forward? And I don't know. It will really depend on their next film, their next Spider-Man film, how it's made, how it's received. You know, but people not liking it overall, you know. And I could see why. But I figured it was going to happen eventually. But, you know, that's it. You know, what could you do? You can't do anything. It's up to these Hollywood bigwigs. And the funniest thing is, think about it. A comic book character made in the 1960s, a comic book, right, has made all the Hollywood news sites just like page one news. You know, it's a comic book character, and it's made page one news across the industries that follow the business. You know, I guess that's how important the character is. You know, that's how big an issue it is, and it's complimentary in a way that comic book character is making headline news, you know, on these industry websites, you know. So that's it. That's my thoughts on it. And thanks for watching. Again, subscribe, and talk to you later.